The day the sky burned. The morning was beautiful. Park stood at the window of her office, deep underground in the military bunker beneath the mountains. She held a small phone in her hand. On the screen, her daughter smiled back at her. Little was only 5 years old. She had her father's eyes and her mother's stubborn spirit. "Mommy, when are you coming home?" asked through the video call. "Soon, my love, 2 more days," said. She was a lieutenant general in the United Earth Defense Command. Her work kept her away from home too often, but she always came back. She always would. Her husband appeared behind on the screen. He was a civilian engineer, a gentleman who built bridges and designed buildings. He waved at the camera. "We made pancakes this morning. Put too much syrup on hers." "I did not," protested and laughed. That laugh would be the last happy sound she made for many years. The first warning came at 9:47 a.m. Every screen in the bunker turned red. Every alarm screamed at once. Dropped her phone and ran to the command center. Officers were shouting. Data streams flooded across every monitor. "What is happening?" demanded. A young officer looked at her with terror in his eyes. "Ships, General, thousands of ships. They just appeared in orbit. They came from nowhere." Looked at the main screen. It showed Earth from a satellite view, and around Earth, like a swarm of metal insects, ships filled the sky. They were huge. They were alien, and they were already firing. The first plasma strike hit Seoul at 9:52 a.m. Watched the screen. She watched the city where her husband and daughter lived disappear under a column of white fire. The impact was so bright that the satellite camera went dark for 3 seconds. When it recovered, Seoul was gone. Where 12 million people had lived moments ago, there was only a burning crater. She did not scream, she did not cry, she simply stopped breathing for a long moment. Then she turned to her officers. "Get me every defense system online, now." But there was nothing to do. The alien ships were too many. Their weapons were too powerful. Earth's missiles and laser defenses were like toys against them. City after city fell. Tokyo, New York, London, Mumbai, Cairo. Each one vanished in fire. The aliens finally sent a message. It played on every screen, every radio, every device on the planet. A creature appeared. It had gray skin and 4 eyes. It wore armor of black metal. When it spoke, its voice was cold and empty. "Species of Earth, we are the Empire. We rule 17 star systems. We have watched your growth. We have calculated your future. You are a threat. In 1,000 years you might challenge us. We do not allow threats to grow. Accept your extinction with dignity. Resistance is meaningless." The message ended. The bombardment continued. Tried to call her husband. The line was dead. She tried again and again. Dead, dead, dead. By midnight, the death count passed 2 billion. The aliens had destroyed every major city on Earth. The sky was black with smoke and ash. The oceans boiled where orbital strikes had hit the water. The planet was burning. In the bunker, survivors gathered. Military commanders from around the world connected through emergency channels. They were broken. They were defeated. They did not know what to do. Had not slept, she had not eaten, she had not cried. She sat in the command center and watched the death toll climb. 2 billion, 2.5 billion, 3 billion. Each number was a person, a family, a life, gone. A colonel approached her carefully. "General Park, we have confirmed. Seoul is completely destroyed. There are no survivors from the central districts. I am sorry, your family." "I know," said. Her voice was flat, empty. "I saw it happen." The colonel did not know what to say. He stepped back. At 3 a.m., the surviving commanders held a meeting. They appeared on screens around: American generals, European admirals, African commanders, Asian leaders. They all looked the same way. Broken, hopeless. "We should surrender," one of them said. "Maybe they will show mercy." "They told us to accept extinction," another replied. "There will be no mercy." "Then what can we do? We cannot fight them. We have nothing." listened to them argue, she listened to them give up, and something inside her changed. The grief that had frozen her heart began to melt, but it did not become sadness. It became something else, something harder, something colder. She stood up, everyone stopped talking. My daughter was 5 years old, said, her voice was quiet but steady. She liked pancakes with too much syrup. My husband was a good man who built things. They died this morning. They died because these creatures decided we might be a threat someday. Not today, not tomorrow, someday. 1,000 years from now. She looked at each face on the screens. They killed 3 billion people because they were afraid of what we might become. They were afraid of our potential, our future. She paused. They should have been more afraid. They should have made sure we were all dead. An American general shook his head. General Park, with respect, what can we do? We have no ships, no weapons that can hurt them. We are finished. Walk to the main screen. She looked at the image of Earth, burning and broken. We have time, she said. They think we are defeated. They will occupy our orbit and watch us die slowly. But we will not die. We will go underground. We will hide. We will learn. We will steal their technology. We will build ships. And when we are ready, we will make them pay for every single life they took today. That could take decades, someone said. Then it will take decades. Turn to face them. Her eyes were dry. Her hands were steady. I am not asking for a battle. I am promising a war that will not end until we burn their empire to the ground. The commanders looked at her. They saw something in her face that they had not seen before. It was not hope. It was not courage. It was certainty, complete and absolute certainty. My name is Park, she said, and I am telling you now, humanity will survive this day. We will grow stronger. And one day we will find the creatures who did this. We will find their home. We will stand in their cities, and we will show them what it means to make an enemy of Earth. No one argued after that. Outside, the sky continued to burn, but beneath the mountains, in a bunker full of broken soldiers, something new had begun. It was small, it was quiet, but it was real. Revenge has a long memory, and Park would never forget. The silence before thunder. 3 years had passed since the sky burned. The Empire believed that humanity was broken. Their ships circled Earth like vultures, watching the wounded planet die slowly. They did not bother to land. They did not need to. The survivors would starve. The radiation would kill them. Time would finish what the bombardment had started. They were patient. They had destroyed many species before. They knew how extinction worked. But they did not know humans. Deep beneath the mountains of Korea, General Park sat in a room filled with screens and maps. She was no longer a lieutenant general. The survivors had made her supreme commander of the United Human Resistance. It was a grand title for a desperate situation, but did not care about titles. She cared about one thing only: revenge. In 3 years, the Resistance had done the impossible. They had connected bunkers across the world through underground tunnels and hidden cables. They had built factories in caves and under the ocean floor. They had gathered every scientist, every engineer, every soldier who survived, and they had begun to build. A door opened behind her. A woman in a white coat entered. This was Doctor, the most brilliant physicist left alive. She was small and quiet, with tired eyes and messy hair, but her mind was sharper than any weapon. We did it, said. She held a small device in her hands. It glowed with soft blue light. Turned the fold drive. Yes, it took us 3 years to understand how to travel between stars. Their ships fold space itself. They bend reality to move from one point to another, and now we can do the same. Place the device on the table. This is a working prototype. We can build more. Looked at the small glowing thing. It did not look impressive, but she knew what it meant. With this technology, humanity could reach the stars. They could chase to whatever dark corner of the galaxy they came from. How long until we can put this in a ship? Asked. 6 months, Maybe less if we push hard. Push hard. Nodded and left, returned to her screens. There was so much work to do. On the other side of the bunker, a man was training soldiers. His name was Minu. He had been a special forces captain before the attack. Now he was something more dangerous. He was a survivor who had nothing left to lose. Minu had lost his entire unit in the bombardment. He had lost his parents, his brother, his. He had crawled through radioactive ruins for weeks before finding the resistance, and he had been fighting ever since. Again, he shouted at the soldiers in front of him. They were practicing hand-to-hand combat. They are bigger than us, stronger than us, but they are slow. They rely on their technology. Take away their weapons and they are weak. He grabbed a soldier and threw her to the ground. Then he helped her up. When we board their ships, there will be no second chances. You fight until you win or you die. There is no middle ground. The soldiers nodded. They understood. Everyone in the resistance understood. This was not a war they could afford to lose. 3 levels below, in a secret prison, sat in chains. It was the first one humans had captured alive. A scouting party had landed 2 years ago and Minu's team had ambushed them. 5 died. 1 survived. The prisoner had been useful, not because it talked willingly, but because it talked eventually. Humans had learned many things from it. They learned about the empire's structure. They learned about the other species that had conquered, and they learned something important. They were not as united as they seemed. Commander stood outside the prisoner's cell. He was an older man with gray hair and a calm face. Before the war, he had commanded a submarine. Now he commanded the Resistance's small fleet of underwater vessels. "Tell me again about he said through the cell bars. The prisoner hissed. Its 4 eyes blinked in the dim light. "They are slaves. They serve the Empire. They repair our ships. They build our weapons. They are nothing. But they are not loyal." The prisoner laughed. It was an ugly sound. "Loyalty. They have served us for 8,000 years. They have no loyalty. They have only fear." Smiled. "Fear can change, especially when someone offers hope." He walked away. The prisoner shouted something after him but did not listen. He had work to do. The Resistance had made contact with the 3 months ago. It started with a captured communication device. A young technician had figured out how to send hidden messages through the Empire's own network. They received those messages, and they responded. They were afraid at first. They had been slaves for so long that they did not believe freedom was possible. But slowly, carefully, trust grew. They began to share information. They told humans about the Empire's weaknesses. They told them about patrol schedules and supply routes. They told them where to strike and where to hide. In exchange, humans promised something simple. When the war was over, they would be free. Back in the command center, received a message from Admiral Lee. The Admiral was in charge of shipbuilding. She worked in a massive underwater facility beneath the Pacific Ocean. For 3 years, her teams had been building warships from stolen designs and human innovation. General's face appeared on screen. She was a stern woman with short hair and sharp eyes. "I have a report for you." "Go ahead." "We have completed construction of 300 vessels, 100 heavy cruisers, 150 destroyers, 50 support ships, all equipped with fold drives and plasma weapons based on technology." Closed her eyes for a moment. 300 ships. It had seemed impossible 3 years ago. Now it was real. "And the crews?" she asked. "Trained and ready. Every ship has a full complement. 50,000 men and women, General, all volunteers." "Good. What about the special project?" His face grew serious. It is complete. The most advanced warship ever built by human hands, faster than anything they have, more heavily armed, more adaptable." "Its name means arrow in Korean," said softly. "An arrow flies straight to its target. It does not stop until it arrives." "A fitting name, General." Looked at the strategic display. The fleet still circled Earth, 12 ships. They had not changed their patrol patterns in 3 years. They were bored, complacent. They believed they were watching a dying world. They had no idea what was coming. Admiral Lee said, "Begin final preparations. In 30 days we break the blockade." Saluted, "Yes, General, it will be done." The screen went dark, stood alone in the command center. She thought about her daughter, about her husband, about the billions who had died. She had carried their memory for 3 years. She had used that memory as fuel. Now it was time to let the fire burn. Minyu entered the room. He stood beside her, looking at the same strategic display. "We are really doing this," he said. It was not a question. "Yes, in 30 days we attack. In 30 days they'll learn that they made a terrible mistake." Minyu nodded. "What mistake?" Turned to look at him. Her eyes were cold and bright. "They gave us time to become angry. They gave us time to prepare. They thought they were watching us die. Instead, they watched us grow stronger." She looked back at the display. "The silence is almost over, Captain. The thunder is coming." Outside in the depths of the ocean, 300 human warships waited in the darkness. Their crews checked their weapons. Their captains studied their orders. And somewhere in a small cabin on the flagship, a picture sat on a desk. A little girl with her father's eyes, smiling at the camera. The war was about to begin. First blood among the stars. The Pacific Ocean was calm on the morning of the attack. The sun rose slowly over the water, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. Birds flew overhead. Waves rolled gently against empty shores. It looked peaceful. It was not. Beneath the surface, 300 warships powered up their engines. General Park stood on the bridge of the flagship, Han River's Vengeance. It was the largest ship in the human fleet, the most powerful, and today it would lead the assault. "Status report," she said. "All ships report ready, General," an officer replied. "Weapons are charged, fold drives are stable, the fleet awaits your command." Looked at the tactical display. 12 ships circled Earth above them. The aliens had not moved from their positions in 3 years. They expected nothing. They feared nothing. That was about to change. All ships spoke into the fleet-wide channel. "This is General Park. 5 years ago, the Empire attacked our world without warning. They killed 3 billion of our people. They destroyed our cities. They burned our future. And they thought they had won." She paused. 300 ships listened in silence. "Today we show them how wrong they were. Today we rise from the oceans they thought were our grave. Today we take back our sky." Her voice grew harder. "No mercy, no retreat for Earth, for everyone we lost. Let them burn." The channel fell silent. Then across 300 ships the same word echoed. "For Earth." All ships commanded, "Rise." The ocean exploded. 300 warships burst from the water like missiles. Their engines screamed as they climbed toward the sky. Water fell from their hulls in sheets. They rose through the clouds, through the atmosphere into the darkness of space. The ships detected them immediately. Alarms screamed across the alien fleet. Commanders shouted orders. Weapons powered up, but they were too slow, too surprised, too arrogant. The human fleet hit them like a hammer. Han River's Vengeance fired first. Its main plasma cannons punched through a cruiser before the alien ship could raise its shields. The cruiser broke apart in a ball of fire. Debris scattered across the void. "First kill," Captain Minyu reported from his station. "The enemy is panicking." "Do not give them time to recover," replied. "All ships engage at will." The battle was brutal and short. They had ruled the stars for 10,000 years. They had never faced an enemy like this. Humans fought differently. They were aggressive, unpredictable, willing to take risks that seemed insane. Lieutenant flew her small frigate straight at a destroyer. The destroyer was 10 times her size. Its weapons could have vaporized her ship in seconds, but did not care. "Get me closer," she told her pilot. "Ma'am, if we get any closer, we will be inside their shields." "Exactly." The frigate dove toward the destroyer. Guns tracked it but could not fire fast enough. The small human ship slipped beneath the shields and released its payload directly against the destroyer's hull. Explosions rippled across the alien ship. Its engines died. Its lights went dark. "Target neutralized," reported. Her voice was calm. Inside, her heart was racing. Commander led a boarding team onto another ship. His soldiers cut through the hull with plasma torches and poured into the corridors. The crew fought back, but they were not prepared for close combat. They had never needed to be. No one had ever been crazy enough to board a ship before. His team reached the bridge in 7 minutes. He stood over the captain's body and looked out the viewport at the battle raging outside. "This ship is ours," he reported. "The captain is dead, crew is surrendering." "Good work, Commander," replied. "Secure the vessel, we need their navigation data." The battle lasted 2 hours. When it was over, all 12 ships were destroyed or captured. 47 human ships had been lost. 3,000 human soldiers had died. It was a heavy price, but it was victory. Stood on the bridge and looked at Earth below. For the first time in 5 years, no alien ships circled her world. The sky was clear. The blockade was broken. "General," Admiral Lee reported from her ship, "the enemy is in full retreat. A few escape pods launched toward deep space. They will reach territory in approximately 2 weeks." "Let them go," said. "I want them to tell their emperor what happened here. I want him to know that we are coming." The fleet gathered in Earth orbit. Repair teams worked on damaged ships. Medical teams treated the wounded. And across the planet, people looked up at the sky and wept with joy. For 5 years, they had lived under the shadow of alien ships. Now that shadow was gone. But was not finished. She gathered her commanders in a holographic meeting. "We have won a battle," she said, "not a war. The Empire has thousands of ships, millions of soldiers. If we wait here, they will come back with overwhelming force. We cannot let that happen." "What do you suggest, General?" Admiral Lee asked. Pointed at the star map. "There is a colony called Prime. It is on the edge of their territory, lightly defended, and it is home to millions of slaves." "You want to attack an alien world?" Minyu asked. "I want to liberate it. They have helped us. Now we help them. We show the galaxy that the Empire can be beaten. We give hope to everyone they have crushed." The commanders exchanged looks. It was bold, dangerous, possibly insane. "I am in," Minyu said. One by one, the others agreed. The fleet traveled through fold space for 3 days. When they emerged, Prime hung before them like a blue-green jewel. Defense stations orbited the planet. A small fleet of warships patrolled nearby. "This is General Park of the Human Resistance," she broadcast on all channels. "We are here to free the people of Prime. Forces will surrender or be destroyed. There will be no negotiation." The commander laughed at her message. He ordered his ships to attack. He stopped laughing when his flagship exploded. The Battle of Prime was faster than the battle for Earth. The human fleet had learned from the first fight. They were smoother now, more coordinated, more deadly. The defense fleet was destroyed in 90 minutes. When human soldiers landed on the planet, they came out to meet them. They were small creatures with blue skin and large, dark eyes. They had been slaves for 8,000 years. They had forgotten what freedom felt like. A young approached Captain Minyu. It looked up at him with wonder. "You came," it said. Its voice was soft and trembling. "You actually came. The messages said you would, but we did not believe. No one has ever come for us before." Minyu knelt down to meet its eyes. "We keep our promises. You are free now, all of you." They began to cry. Then it began to laugh. Then all of them did, thousands of blue-skinned beings cheering and crying and celebrating in the streets of their cities. Watched from her ship, she felt something she had not felt in a long time, not happiness, not peace, but something close to satisfaction. General, an officer reported. We are receiving transmissions from across the sector. Other species heard our broadcast. They want to know if it is true. They want to know if the Empire can really be beaten. Nodded slowly. Tell them yes. Tell them we are just getting started. She recorded a new message. This time it was not for it was for everyone else. Every slave, every conquered world, every being who had ever suffered under the Empire's rule. My name is Park. I speak for humanity and for every free being in this galaxy. 5 years ago, they attacked our world. They thought they were ending a threat. Instead, they created one. She stared into the camera with cold, hard eyes. You struck Earth first. Now we are coming for you. This is not a threat. This is a promise. The Empire will fall, and when it does, every world they have conquered will be free. The message spread across the galaxy at the speed of light. In the throne room of the Emperor watched the human woman speak. His 4 eyes narrowed. His advisors urged caution. Desperate vermin, he said dismissively. Send the border fleets to crush them. He turned away from the screen. He did not see the fear in his advisor's eyes. He did not understand what was coming. But he would learn. They would all learn. Humanity had tasted blood, and they wanted more. The coalition of the broken. 2 years had passed since the liberation of Prime. The galaxy was changing. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Empire was afraid. General Park stood in a great hall on a space station called Haven. It floated in neutral space, far from any empire or territory. Representatives from a dozen species filled the room. They had come from across the galaxy, drawn by the impossible news. Someone was fighting back. Looked at them. There were their blue skin bright under the station lights. There were there too, beings made of living crystal who communicated through patterns of light. There were the tall insect-like creatures who had lost their centuries ago. There were the Toral. Each species had suffered under rule. Each had believed they would suffer forever. Until humanity came. Ambassador Shin Bora stood beside. She was a small woman with a calm voice and sharp mind. Before the war, she had been a diplomat for the Korean government. Now she was the voice of humanity among the stars. Thank you all for coming, Bora said to the assembly. We know the risk you have taken. If the Empire learns you are here, they will punish you. But we believe the risk is worth taking, because together we can do something that has never been done before. A representative clicked its mandibles. Pretty words, human, but the Empire has crushed every rebellion in history. What makes you different? Stepped forward. We are different because we have nothing to lose. They killed 3 billion of our people. They burned our cities. They tried to end our species, and they failed. She looked around the room. We have beaten them 3 times now, at Earth, at Prime, at the shipyards. Each time they said we could not win. Each time we proved them wrong. You have won battles, they replied. The Empire has 10,000 warships. You have a few hundred. The mathematics are simple. The mathematics change when we fight together. Silence fell over the hall. The representatives looked at each other. They had been enemies once, competitors, strangers. The Empire had kept them divided on purpose. United, they might be dangerous. What exactly are you proposing? I asked. Its crystalline body pulsed with soft light. Bora stepped forward again. We propose the Compact of Free Worlds, a military alliance between every species that wants to be free of rule. We share intelligence, we share resources, we share soldiers, and together we fight. And if we lose, then we die free instead of living as slaves. His voice was hard. But we will not lose. They are powerful, but they are slow. They are arrogant. They have never faced a united enemy. They do not know how. The debate continued for hours. Some species were afraid. Some were suspicious. Some simply did not believe. But slowly, one by one, they began to agree. The joined first. They had already given everything to the human cause. The joined second. They were tired of building weapons for their oppressors. Then the others. By the end of the day, 12 species had signed the Compact of Free Worlds. It was the largest alliance in galactic history, and it was just the beginning. Over the next months, the coalition grew, worked tirelessly, coordinating between species who had never worked together before. It was difficult, different languages, different cultures, different ways of thinking, but she found common ground in their shared pain. Everyone had lost someone to the Empire. Everyone wanted revenge. Captain Minu, now promoted to Admiral, led joint training exercises. Human soldiers learned to fight alongside alien warriors. They taught each other tactics and techniques. They learned to trust each other in battle. Colonel built a ground force unlike any before. His soldiers came from 8 different species. They trained in every environment: jungle, desert, ice, vacuum. They became the deadliest infantry in the galaxy. They contributed their manufacturing power. They could grow warships from raw materials in weeks instead of months. The coalition fleet grew from 300 ships to 500, then 700, then more. Intelligence flowed from occupied worlds. Workers on ships sent information about patrol routes and fleet movements. Merchants passed along secrets from imperial ports. For the first time, the coalition could see the Empire clearly. And what they saw gave them hope. The Empire was stretched thin. It ruled 17 star systems, but it could not be strong everywhere. Most of its fleet was concentrated near the core worlds. The borders were defended by smaller forces. If the coalition struck fast enough, they could win. Emperor finally recognized the threat. He had dismissed humanity as vermin. He had ignored the coalition as noise. But now his advisors showed him the truth. The rebellion was growing. Worlds were slipping from his grasp. For the first time in his long reign, he felt something cold in his chest. Fear. He mobilized the Grand Imperial Fleet, 10,000 warships, the largest military force ever assembled. It was enough to crush any enemy. It would end the rebellion once and for all. When the intelligence reached, she gathered her commanders. 10,000 ships, Admiral Lee said grimly. We have 800 combat ready. The mathematics are still against us. The mathematics have always been against us, replied. That has not stopped us before. But this is different. This is everything they have. If we face them directly, we will be destroyed. Nodded slowly. She had expected this. The Empire would never let them build a fleet large enough to win a fair fight. They had to find another way. Then we do not face them directly, she said. We let them come to us. We draw them out. And while they chase our fleet through the outer systems, we strike somewhere else. Where? Minu asked. Pointed at the star map. At the very center, one system glowed brighter than all others. Their capital, the seat of their power. The commanders stared at her in silence. Finally, Colonel spoke. You want to attack there while their entire fleet is away? Yes. That is insane. Yes. The defenses there will still be enormous. Their home system has never been attacked. It will be a fortress. Yes. Smiled slowly. I love it. The plan took shape over the following weeks. Admiral Lee would lead the main coalition fleet. They would engage the Grand Imperial Fleet in the outer systems. They would run. They would hide. They would fight. They would keep 10,000 enemy ships busy. Meanwhile would take a small strike force through uncharted space. Doctor had improved the fold drives. They could jump farther than ever before. They could reach places the thought were unreachable. It was a desperate plan. It had 1,000 ways to fail, but it was their only chance. I need volunteers, told the combined forces. This is a one-way mission. There is no guarantee we will survive. There is no guarantee we will succeed. But if we do, we will end this war. 50,000 soldiers volunteered. Could only take 30,000. She chose carefully. The best pilots, The best soldiers, the best commanders, people who had lost everything and were ready to give what was left. Commander was among them. "I lost my crew at the Battle of Earth," he said. "I have been waiting 5 years to pay that debt." Lieutenant was there too. She was no longer young. The war had aged her, but her eyes were still sharp. "My whole family died in Seoul. I want to look the Emperor in the eye when his empire falls." Colonel assembled his ground forces, 8,000 soldiers from 6 species. They would land on thee and fight their way to the imperial palace. Doctor came aboard the flagship. "The fold drives are ready," she reported. "But I must warn you, we will be traveling through uncharted space. There are anomalies. Some ships may not survive the journey." Accepted the risk. There was no other choice. The night before departure, she stood alone on the observation deck. She looked at the stars and thought about her daughter, about her husband, about everyone she had lost. "I am coming," she whispered to the darkness. "I am coming and I will finish this." The fleet departed at dawn. 50 ships jumped into fold space and disappeared. Behind them, the coalition fleet prepared to face 10,000 enemies. The final battle had begun. The long night. The journey through uncharted space was a nightmare. General Park stood on the bridge of Han River's Vengeance as the ship shook violently. Outside the viewport, fold space twisted and screamed. Colors that had no name swirled around them. It looked like madness given form. "Hull stress at 70%, an officer reported. "We are approaching critical levels." "Hold course," ordered. "We push through." 50 ships had entered the void. After the first week, they lost 3. The ships simply vanished. One moment they were there. The next moment they were gone. No explosion, no warning, just empty space where friends had been. Doctor worked without sleep, adjusting the fold drives, trying to find safer paths through the chaos. Her eyes were red. Her hands trembled, but she refused to stop. "There are currents in fold space," she explained too, "like rivers in an ocean. If we find the right current, we can ride it, but if we hit the wrong one, we disappear like the others." "Yes." Put her hand on shoulder. "Keep working. You got us this far, you will get us the rest of the way." After 2 weeks, they lost 5 more ships. The crews had time to say goodbye over the radio before their vessels were torn apart by forces no one understood. Listened to every farewell. She remembered every name. After 1 month, morale was breaking. Soldiers sat in silence, staring at walls. Officers argued over small things. Fear spread through the fleet like a disease. Called a meeting of all ship captains. Their faces appeared on screens around her bridge. They looked tired, scared, lost. "I know you are afraid," she said. "I am afraid too. We have lost good people. We may lose more. But I need you to remember why we are here." She pulled out a small photograph. It was worn and faded. A little girl smiled at the camera. "This is my daughter," her name was. She was 5 years old when they killed her. She liked pancakes with too much syrup. She wanted to be a dancer when she grew up. She will never grow up. Because the Empire decided that humans were a threat. Not today, not tomorrow, someday. And they killed her for what we might become. She looked at the screens. Every captain was watching. 3 billion people died that day. Every one of you lost someone, family, friends, the person you loved most in the world that took them from us. They thought that would make us weak. They thought grief would break us. Her voice grew harder. They were wrong. We carry our dead with us, not as weight, as fuel. Every person we lost is a reason to keep going. Every name is a debt that must be paid. We are not just soldiers. We are their memory. We are their revenge. She put the photograph away. 12 more ships may die before we reach or 20, or all of us. But even if only one ship survives, that ship will carry the war to the Empire's heart. The enemy will know that nothing can stop us. Not distance, not danger, not death itself. She stood. I will not order you to continue. I am asking you, will you follow me into the darkness? Will you help me end this war? Silence stretched across the fleet. Then Commander spoke. You do not need to ask, General. We did not come this far to turn back. Let the void take what it wants. We will give it our dead, but we will not give it victory. One by one, the other captains agreed. The fear did not disappear, but something stronger replaced it: purpose, determination, the knowledge that they were part of something greater than themselves. After 2 months, they found it: a stable current through fold space, a path that led straight to the home system. Doctor had done the impossible again. We will exit fold space in 3 days, she reported, her voice cracked with exhaustion. 38 ships remain. We lost 12 on the journey. 12 ships, 3,000 people, gone into the void. Closed her eyes for a moment, then she opened them. Get some rest, Doctor. You have earned it. When we arrive, I need you at your best. Nodded and left the bridge. She was asleep before she reached her quarters. The final 3 days were quiet. Soldiers wrote letters to families they might never see again. Officers checked weapons and reviewed battle plans. Some prayed to gods they had almost forgotten. Some simply sat with friends and talked about home. Colonel gathered his ground forces in the hangar bay. 8,000 soldiers from 6 species stood before him. Humans. Others. They had trained together, fought together, bled together. They were no longer different species. They were family. When we land, said, we will face the most heavily defended ground in the galaxy. They have never been invaded. They think they are safe. They think their home is untouchable. He smiled. It was not a friendly smile. We are going to prove them wrong. The soldiers cheered. It was a strange sound. Beings who should have been enemies, united by common purpose. The Empire had spent 10,000 years keeping species divided. It had never occurred to them that those species might find each other, might become allies, might become friends. Lieutenant prepared her fighter squadron. She was not a lieutenant anymore. The war had made her a captain, but she preferred to fly with her pilots rather than command from a bridge. Remember your training, she told her squadron. We are faster than them. We are crazier than them. When we hit their defenses, hit them hard and do not stop. This is the battle we have been waiting for. Make it count. On the bridge recorded a final message. If she died, the message would be sent back to Earth, to the Coalition, to anyone who would listen. This is General Park, she said into the camera. By the time you receive this message, we will have either succeeded or failed. If we succeeded, the war is over. If we failed. She paused. If we fail, do not mourn us. Build more ships, gather more allies, come again, never stop coming. They killed 3 billion of us and thought that would end the story. Show them that humanity does not have endings, only new beginnings. She ended the recording and saved it. Then she deleted it. They would not fail. She would not allow it. The final hour arrived. The fleet prepared to exit fold space. Every weapon was charged. Every soldier was ready. Every heart was beating fast. Stood at the center of her bridge. Around her, officers worked at their stations. Screens showed tactical data and fleet positions. Everything was ready. All ships, she announced. This is it. In 60 seconds we enter the home system. The enemy does not know we are coming. They think their fleet is about to crush the Coalition. They think there is safe. They are wrong. She took a deep breath. We have traveled through hell to get here. We have lost friends. We have lost ships, but we have not lost our purpose. Today we bring the war to the enemy's door. Today we show the galaxy that no one is untouchable. Today we make them pay. The countdown reached 0. 38 human ships burst from fold space into the home system. For a moment everything was silent. The ships hung in the void, sensors scanning, weapons tracking. Below them they spun slowly. It was beautiful. Blue oceans, green continents, golden cities that glittered in the sunlight. It had never known war. It had never felt fear. It was about to learn both. Alarms screamed across the planet. Defense stations powered up. Orbital platforms scrambled to respond. But they were too slow, too surprised. They had never expected this. No one had ever attacked the... On the surface, Emperor was informed of the intrusion. He watched the sensor data with 4 wide eyes. Human ships, in his sky. How was this possible? "Destroy them," he ordered. His voice trembled with something he did not recognize. It was fear. Destroy them all. On the bridge of Han River's Vengeance watched the planet below. She thought of her daughter one last time. Then she smiled. It was the first real smile she had worn in 9 years. "All ships," she commanded, "begin planetary assault." The Battle of Prime had begun.